Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. Thank you for joining me today. And today we have a very special guest, and she's been here before, and it's Carla Gericke. Thank you, Carla, for coming on.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it.
Yes. And what I'm excited about is that you are rerunning for Goffstown, Manchester wards. This is what I always need you to write this down.
3, 4, 10, and 11.
Yes. For state senate.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think you did very well last time.
I mean, I was very unknown.
That's it.
And I got 40%, which I felt proud about.
Yes, yes.
So this time we need to make it a little more.
Yeah, and not much more.
No.
'Cause really.
No. And honestly, this time I'm genuinely, I'm out there. I really want to meet the voters.
Yes.
I'm fundraising. I'll be able to do some mailers this time. So I'm taking it very seriously.
Yes.
I think New Hampshire is ready for me and ready for change.
Yes. Well, I know in Goffstown, because I represent Goffstown, Ware, and Deeren, I will pass out all your stuff and try to push. And, I could probably come over into Manchester.
Yeah, and I'd love to knock doors with you. I think we'd have a fun time.
Yes. I don't know, would they let me over there?
Maybe, sure, why not? Yes, we'll allow you across the river, John.
Yeah, because they put that rails to trail so I could sneak across that, even though I haven't been on it.
Oh, I love that trail.
Yeah.
I'm out there at least once a week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, have you gone across the river?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, I walk from, the ice rink on the west side all the way to downtown sometimes. That's a long one.
That is. How long does that take?
It takes, almost 2 hours, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're moving right along.
And sometimes I take it from, this side of the river and then, to downtown, go grab a coffee somewhere.
Yes.
And then walk back. But the summer's been pretty hot, so I've only done that twice, but, I need to get out earlier.
Yes.
But I take my dog out, and if it's on a weekend, my husband comes, and it's a nice walk.
Yeah. No, you got a nice husband. I've met him several times.
Yes.
He's a great guy.
He is a good guy. I've been married for 24 years, so obviously I think so too.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time.
It is. Yeah, let's not talk about it.
Yes.
See, your viewers will see I've gotten grayer and blinder since last time.
Well, I was going to say, you must have been 3 or 4 when you got married.
Oh, that's sweet. No, I was 22, so I was young, but I'd finished law school by then, and we got married right before we moved here, and at the time we were just like, okay, let's get married before we come to America, and we were like, if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and it's worked.
Now, where have you been in the United States? What states and stuff like that?
So
not to get off our main topic, but
we have
for the
some
people,
time.
well, that's it for the people to understand, and because it's always curious. It always makes me curious. Why people come to New Hampshire.
Right.
As you probably know, that I'm from the old Vermont,
right.
the old conservative Vermont. And when people say, well, why did you leave Vermont and come to New Hampshire? And I say, I didn't leave Vermont. Vermont left me.
Yeah, that's a great line.
And, I ended up in Goffstown, New Hampshire. I started in Woodsville, New Hampshire, and now I'm in Goffstown with, one of the, not to say you're not a great wife, but probably I have the best wife in the world.
Okay, you're allowed to say that because Louie's not here.
Yes. Yeah, he probably disagree with me.
Well, yeah.
Maybe say I'm second.
So California, worked as an attorney there for almost a decade. I worked for high-tech companies like Apple Computer. It's where I started. I was a paralegal there when I was retaking the bar exam.
Now, my sister lives in Fullerton, south of LA.
Yep.
Were you near them?
No. So I was in the Bay Area, so near San Francisco.
Oh, I hear houses that are worth a couple $100,000 are going for millions.
It is crazy. We were just out there maybe like 4 months ago, and our friends live in Orinda. It's right behind Oakland, so they have maybe like a 50-minute BART ride on like a train going into town, and their house is maybe 1,200 square feet.
No, that's what I live in. Yeah.
Cost $900,000.
Wow.
I was just like, what are you guys doing? Like all that debt? and just it's crazy. I mean, we have a beautiful house on the west side. We're right behind Goslar School.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful view out to St. Anselm in the winter.
Really?
And we paid a lot less than that for a much bigger house.
Wow, that's
Which
crazy.
is one of the reasons I love New Hampshire. And people should wonder why is it affordable? And
Yes.
it's affordable because we choose to live within our means, right?
Yes.
Or try to.
Yes.
And I would like to try a little harder.
Yeah. There's times I am upset when I'm at the State House going, are you serious? We can't spend this and carry on. But bottom line, Carla, when they come down, when I see statistics, I think we are 13th taxed in the nation, and my old state, Vermont, is 49th.
Wow, is it that bad
It's
now?
that difference.
Wow.
They used to be 50, and I can't remember what they did, or somebody else, maybe New Jersey did something, and
Oh,
now
my
they're 50.
goodness. I mean,
I can't remember. I'll bring the book in.
So, some of those states, Rhode Island, New Jersey,
Yeah.
a lot of these sort of high tax states, of course, are also feeling the pinch, I think, now with the new tax laws that changed, right?
Yes.
Because people used to be able to write off their state tax from their federal tax. It was like a write-off. And then,
Yes.
so in some ways, those states had an incentive
Yeah.
to be high tax because they were like,
Yeah.
oh, well, no one cares because they're writing it off from their federal taxes.
Yeah.
But now that they can't do that, I mean, people are just fleeing out of those states.
They
and
are.
the problem is, though, if you flee out of those states, don't go somewhere and then cause the same problems. Do you hear me, Massachusetts?
Yes, they do it all the time. Yeah, and they ruined Vermont. Well, it was the trust fund babies out of New York, and Massachusetts moved up to Vermont and destroyed it.
And it's just, and I mean, I love Vermont and I
Yeah.
love New Hampshire, but, it's almost like two bookends to say,
It is.
well, why is that not working and why is this working? It's not magic, and that's the thing that tends to surprise me, is, I mean, we can look at the facts and we can say, if you implement, low taxes, you will have more economic prosperity.
Yes.
If we allow people to keep their money to spend in the way that they want to spend it,
You mean, when you say people, do you mean the people watching
I
us?
do. He's like, the camera's over there.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, the people that are watching us, that I think they want to keep their money. I mean, they understand that we have to pay some tax.
Right.
And I agree with, a minimal.
And the thing is, I mean, an important part, and I want to emphasize this because sometimes we just talk about, oh, we should be able to keep our money. But I also think it's important to, we give money to private charities.
Yes.
It's part of the thing that we do every month.
Yeah.
It's sort of part of our giving and part of our life and part of the way we want to live our lives. And, I like that because then I can pick what projects I think are important, right? So
Exactly.
you and I might even differ, like I really love my dog. And
Yeah.
actually I was out here for Old Home Day.
Oh.
On the weekend,
Yeah.
and walking around, meeting voters. That was really, really nice, a beautiful day. And, they had a tent out for the Goffstown dog park that they want to start. And it's, it's a 501c3. They're looking at a few different areas. And I was like, yes, I will give you money.
Yeah.
I want, I go to Hooksett now for the most part. And I'm like, I want to support this. Let me,
Yeah.
So I think, when people hear, oh, you're just selfish, you just want to keep your money. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm selfish and I want to keep my money, but I also want to give it away for the things that I believe in.
That's right. Yeah, because I can't take it with me, and I do. I feel, like you, I am generous with my money to certain things. Like I have Hot Dog Day every year,
Yeah.
and over.
You guys have to vote for me so I can
Yes.
go to Hot Dog Day. It's been on my list for like 5 years.
Over the last 7 years, we've had 7 different dog groups, and we've raised over $30,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
Wow. That's
huge.
amazing.
It is.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, and this year it was the Canine Commitment of New England that was sponsored Hot Dog Day,
Wow.
and we even adopted a dog, Annie.
Oh, really?
Oh, she's the best dog
Oh,
ever. Yeah, I've been
goodness.
bringing pictures.
No, okay,
in.
now we're going to have a fight because my dog, I won't say I'm the best wife ever, but my dog's the best dog.
What, does he chase squirrels?
She,
Oh, she? Oh, yeah, because
you know.
Annie chases squirrels now, so she's my best girl.
Is she like still a puppy or
No,
how old?
a year and a couple months
Okay.
old. Oh,
So still frisky and
high
like
end,
high
yeah.
energy.
Oh, she's
yeah.
flying all the time, and she's just so funny looking.
Yeah,
you know, she's
Nellie's
running.
12. She's still very spry, but she, we call her. She's a rescue, and her name is Nellie because she's a nervous Nellie.
Yeah.
So she has lots of triggers, but
Oh.
thunder, fireworks,
wow.
Fireworks, day in, day out for like 2 weeks. Summer, and so that's been rough. But we take her for long hikes, and hence the walk in the river and stuff to just get her
my old
energy.
Sam, he did not. He was always.
Oh, really?
He didn't like any
Yeah.
noises, major noises.
Right.
And Annie's like, hey, cool. She doesn't mind us. Like, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just sometimes wiring in their brain, or something happened, or who
Yes.
knows.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
But no, and because I look at Massachusetts, I understand every mile of highway down there cost $550,000.
What?
Up here, it's a little over $150,000 state mile. And I asked a couple reps when this information was given to us, I said, how can it be that much difference? And they said a lot of it's corruption down there.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
And we just don't have that. It's like in our state house, down in Mass. I don't know about the last couple because I haven't been keeping track, but when my friend Hal Miller was alive in Lincoln, Mass, I knew everything what was going on down there.
Yep.
He goes, well, there goes our speaker again, going to jail. At that time, he's been gone 4 years. Prior to that, 5 speakers went to jail for corruption.
Wow.
And
and I mean, in some ways, those incentives are built in, right? If
Yeah.
you're taxing people and you're getting all this money in, and people
Yes.
aren't necessarily, they're taxing literally more than they might need, or, you've got to pay your people. And that's one of the things I really like in New Hampshire. Like, I like that we have a really, big legislative body.
Yes.
And I like that, maybe once I'm making $100 every year, I might not like it as much, but I actually do like that as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Because I think, it's important that it's people who want to be there. It's people who want to serve their constituents. It's a close relationship. People can just call you, which I'm sure happens to you all the time.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls.
And that's kind of, that's one of the things I love about New Hampshire,
Yeah. Well, what I liked was one gentleman out of Derry. I can't remember what the bill. It was some union bill. So he calls me up, and he worked for public service. What is it now? Eversource.
Okay.
So he works for Eversource, and he was on his own time. He made sure that was clear. So he calls me, and when I picked up, hello, because I give my home phone number out, and I stand on the side of the road with my home phone number. So he picks up, and I go, hello, hello. I'm waiting for the answering machine. I said, no, you got the real live John Burt. And he's like, wow, all the reps I call, nobody picks up the
Wow.
phone. Yeah, so, I'll pick up if I'm home.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's important to
And
the people.
sometimes, when those calls come in, people will actually be quite a bit nicer, I think, when they're talking to a real live person.
I think so, too.
Do you get nasty
Oh, yes.
messages?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I get some bad ones, and, people yelling, why'd you do this?
Yeah.
Because, every vote, you're going to make half the people happy and half
Right.
upset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you're going to be pleasing, I know you're running as a Republican, but what I want to tell everybody is that I know you're going to be pleasing to both sides. Like, I am not shocked, but I'm happy that I get a lot of Democrat voters that support me.
That makes sense to me in New Hampshire, because I think people in general here are sort of fiscally responsible and
Yes.
socially tolerant.
Yes.
People are just like, live your life, live and let live. I like live and let live more than live free or die. I love the motto, but rather not the latter.
Yes. Yeah.
So it makes sense to me, and so hopefully, I hope people come out and support me.
Yeah.
I'm running against Lou D'Alessandro, for people who don't know it.
Yeah.
He's been in the Senate for 20 years.
When I thought he was going to retire.
I genuinely thought he should have,
Yes.
and sort of politely suggested that maybe you don't want your legacy to be,
Yeah. Well, see, I want to leave on my term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's time. It's time.
It is.
I just finished his book. I wouldn't say it's a page turner, But, you know, when he endorsed Edwards for the presidential primary, I mean, he specifically says in the book, you know, it was time for a fresh voice and a fresh face. And,
Yeah.
you know, and I was like, yes, I agree with you. That's me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it is. I mean, you know, and I think we should change things up there occasionally. You know,
Yeah, and you know, like with anything, once you've been there that long,
Yeah.
you know, you're sort of entrenched, or you have your special interests, and you're kind of
Yes.
looking after those folks, but maybe
Yes.
not everyone. And I mean, I will say, actually, I was, you know, one of the things we want to talk about is these proposed constitutional amendments that are coming up,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And I was shocked to see that he voted against both of them because it was bipartisan. I mean, it's on the ballot for the voters, and we'll explain in a second what it's about. And, you know, and I was like, I mean, to get something to be on the ballot for an amendment means a lot of people were like, hey, we think this is a good idea.
Well, and you got to get, is it 2/3?
Yeah.
I think of the Senate and 2/3 of the House. And
To
then,
get it on the ballot, and then we need 2/3 of all voters.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's really going to be incumbent on you know, the folks back home to look at these issues. And in my opinion, I mean, and 2/3 of, you know, the House and the Senate's opinion, these are good proposals. Do you want me to explain what they are?
Well, yeah,
quick?
but you know, but bottom line, they had to have Democrat support in order to be here.
Yeah, and I think because they make, you know, they make sense. I mean, I have a little story about one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, go ahead and explain them, and
okay.
then that way, you know, everybody will understand. You know, I'd love to have Lou come someday and explain why he voted against it.
Yeah, you know, and I would actually like to understand as well.
Yes, because that's what I wanted to make sure everybody understood. In order for it to be in front of us, the voters, or you know, the voters, because we're voters too. But in order to get on the ballot here, it's 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate. You know, which requires nonpartisan.
So the way it breaks down, okay, the technical name was, you know, CACR 15 and
Yeah.
16. The way they'll appear on the ballot are just question 1 and question 2. So question 1 has to do with tax standing. So basically what happened was a few years, so what tax standing is basically, hey, I think I'm getting, you know, done in here, and I would like to sue my town or the legislature or whoever because, you know, I don't think you're spending the money according to you know, what was agreed upon, right? According to the law or the Constitution or whatever. And then a few years ago, there was a court case that came out, and they were like, no, you know, people don't have standing to sue anymore. You're not allowed to take a case to the courts, even when you actually could show fiscal financial harm. So I believe they tried to get this constitutional amendment on the ballot for at least 6 years. And
Wow.
it always got voted down. Now, my understanding, and I don't know if this is too gossipy or insider baseball, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I went to a Coalition for New Hampshire Taxpayers talk, and Chuck Douglas was there, who you know, is a former Supreme Court justice. He worked very closely on this, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, it's someone who understands the law, who knows how it works, and you know, he worked on this, and he seemed excited that, you know, it had gotten this far. But the reason it got, I guess, a lot of bipartisan support was, you know, a lot of the Democrats are not happy about the school choice direction that the state's going in. And I mean, I am a proponent of school choice because
Yes, I
I'm
am too.
actually a proponent of as much choice for voters in their lives, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not for you and I to say, and the less we say and the more people can choose to do things, I think the happier and more peaceful and more prosperous the world is. So I guess with this situation is they realized they didn't have standing to sue on the changes on the school choice that they want to try and stop. And so they were like, oh yeah, we're totally going to support this so that we can sue later for the stuff we care about. And when I heard that, my feeling was, that totally makes sense. Because you know what? We should all have that standing. And we should really, you know, move a little away from this like left, right, oh this, oh that, you know, it's like, what? Come on, people, like we're all just humans, we're just here, we're all just trying to, you know, make our best lives. And so even though that was the reason, I was like, I still think, you know, I mean, obviously taxpayers should have standing
they should.
to sue when they think someone's not following the rules that we all agreed upon.
Yes.
So, so that's the first one. And then, and I can just, let me just read if I can still see here, which I can't. So basically it says that the question one will provide that a taxpayer who is eligible to vote in a state has standing to petition the court to declare whether the state or the political subdivision in which the taxpayer resides has spent funds in violation of a law, ordinance, or constitutional provision. So it's kind of long, and the actual, all the wording that's going to appear on the ballot is going to be, you know, like you're going to have to kind of read it. But what I'm hoping to do is that we can educate a lot of, you know, our constituents to be like, you know what, this is pretty good. This is what I've heard. This is what I've studied. So, you know, I think people should vote in favor of it. And then the other one is actually also super good, and it has to do with privacy.
Oh, yeah,
and so my
like
understanding is it kind of rose out of, you know, all these Fourth Amendment violations, right? Constitutional, you know, protection is supposed to be, hey, we can't search and seize your stuff. We can't just randomly search you. We can't whatever. But those laws are really old, and no one's really sort of figured out what do we do with our tech, right? What do we do with our smartphones and everything? So the government, being the sneaky guys they are, we're like, yeah, so the Fourth Amendment doesn't apply to your phone, which is crazy because like everything is on our phones, right? I mean, it'd be like walking around with, you know, a giant computer in your pocket, you know? And so this one is just supposed to sort of enshrine the idea that, hey, you know, privacy is important, and that we have a natural, essential, and inherent right to live free of government intrusion. So one sentence can be one sentence on the ballot, and I think every Granite Stater should be like, yeah, we have the right to privacy.
Yes, yeah, because so technically they could go through your phone.
Yeah, and you know, depending on which jurisdiction you're in, some you know, it differs from state to state and from appeals court to appeals court, but you know, the states that are trying to overreach a little more are saying, oh, yeah, we can search it, or they might say if there's an immediate thing. Some states are saying you should have a warrant, which I think makes sense, right? You know, so you're showing probable cause, or you're saying, you know, there's a reasonable reason why I need to look at this phone. But then, you know, the tricky part is that, I mean, we do know based on disclosures that, you know, they're not necessarily getting warrants, and that, you know, with the advance of technology, you know, there are snoopers and sneakers and, you know, I mean, I try and think what it must look like, you know, at the FBI and the CIA and stuff. I wonder if they're all just spying on each other.
Oh, I bet you they are.
Right? Like there are all these secret files now, and who's blackmailing who. And I was like, who wants to live like that? I don't.
No, me neither. And no, that's why I think New Hampshire needs this. And, you know, I'm pretty sure they're going to pass.
I mean, I hope so. One of the things I learned from Chuck, which I found really interesting, and this is my geeky side, and you know, I am a lawyer, and I did practice law for several years. But when he mentioned that there are 200 amendments to the New Hampshire Constitution over the history of the Constitution.
I did not know that.
And I bet you would find this geeky interesting as well. I was like, I would love someone to teach me a class that could show us what those changes were over the years. Maybe we color code them, you know, and we say, you know, and back in the 1800s we did this, you know, this, because I'd just be really curious to see that evolution of what was important to people back then, why, what problem were we trying to solve? Did we solve the problem, or did we make it worse?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah, that's what my main thing would be is did it work?
Right? Because, you know, and that is part of the challenge, is there's just so much unintended consequences.
There is.
You know, and so that's why, you know, I'm very back to basics. I'm very, you know, let's write less laws.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's repeal more laws.
Yes. So we've tried that.
And, you know, and then, you know, let's let people be free.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. And
It's crazy talk.
And the funny thing is, I don't think, sometimes I go, oh, we got so many laws. But compared to other states, New Hampshire really is still a great state to be in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why I'm here. I mean, I think it's the best state in America.
So it's just funny. You know, do you know Ed Camo?
Yeah.
Yeah, a very dear friend of mine. He's great, a funny guy. He's from New Jersey, so when he's up here going, you know, I don't like the license and, you know, the concealed carry license before we had constitutional carry. Well, you know, I can live with that. And I'm going, no, because I'm from Vermont where we
Right.
don't have any gun laws. You know, so it really is perspective.
Now, I've always been curious because Vermont used to have the best gun laws, and then New Hampshire passed constitutional carry.
Yes.
And then Vermont actually passed something last year where that was like not good at all,
No,
right?
no.
So now New Hampshire has the best gun laws.
Yes. Yeah.
Are people armed there? Like, are the hippies, you know, you talked about the rich Trustafarians from New York and stuff.
Yeah,
or is that sort of just a sort of dying culture, I
No,
guess?
New Hampshire's, no, Vermont is extremely armed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, almost
Yeah.
everybody I know,
Okay.
you know, owns, and probably half of my friends carry all
okay.
the time up in there.
Good.
Yeah. And matter of fact, what I like about over there, that's where I got in trouble once here, is I said I would have, you know, this was during a hearing. I told the New Hampshire State Police, because they were against constitutional carry, I said, well, I'll have my friends at the state police in Vermont, which I have a few, will come train you. And that didn't go over very well. They were a little upset.
Cheeky.
Well, you know Pam Morin, Kimberly Morin?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently she tweeted it instantly right out. And you know, my phone's buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, and everybody says, we'll pay all your speeding tickets on the way home because you're going to get a lot of them. And you know, I mean, they did.
Oh,
But-
that's priceless.
But yeah, no, the state police over there, they want you to carry. They were totally, when a Democrat AG in Vermont goes and tells the governor, which is a Republican, the state police, a lot of local police showed up and say, do not pass these 2 anti-gun laws. We cannot enforce them,
Oh, wow.
and they won't work, so please do not do it. And he signs it anyways. But when your AG is telling you not
Right.
to, and the guy's a Democrat, you know,
Right.
which, you know, there is a lot of pro-Second Amendment Democrats.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes, a
New
lot.
Hampshire as well. I mean,
that's it.
I think that's actually what's cool is it's kind of one of those unifying things, right? Where
Yeah.
you can look at stuff, and that makes me always think people do get it on some level, right? They understand that, you know, with freedom there comes responsibilities, but
Yes.
it's also like, we have the freedom to do these things because that's really like the only way to guard our freedom, you know?
Well, they said too is that not one of the people that supported it, you know, representatives in Senate in Vermont, were natives.
Oh, interesting.
And they're all from out of state.
Wow.
And you know, I think almost all the natives, you know, supported it.
And
But-
so they passed those, right?
Oh, they did, yeah. And one is a ban on magazines. You can't have it more than 15.
Okay.
So the state police guy said, okay, but they can go to New Hampshire. We don't want people to go to New Hampshire and buy all their stuff. So they're going to go to New Hampshire and buy them. Well, yeah. And then they're going to bring them back, and there's no law against that.
Right.
Well, that's true. You just can't buy them here. That's all it said. That's how silly this is. But the problem is now they're like piranhas. They got blood in
Right.
the mouth,
Yep.
and they'll be back.
Yep.
But they'll be back here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what was that bill? You know, because that is not to jump around, but one of the things I wanted to talk to you, because I am a big Second Amendment guy. You know, I am one of the gun guys up there, and I know you support the Second Amendment. But I'm hearing, well, they are going to file it. What was that bill down in Baker just signed? The red. I'm trying to think what it is, but it's a anti-gun bill, and it has a special name. I apologize. I should have remembered what it was, and it's just left me. But I know you'd vote against it. But how do you feel about
I'm a big
these anti-gun stuff that's being put in?
I mean, for me, it really is nuts and bolts on that issue. I believe the reason we have the Second Amendment is to protect our freedoms.
Yes.
And I understand people's concern, and no one likes dead children.
No.
I get all of that, but there's a problem here that is not going to be solved by taking away law-abiding people's rights.
Exactly.
Not going to be solved. So we can't be hysterical here and then try and fix things, because the bottom line is, if you're a crook, outlaws don't follow laws.
No.
So they don't care.
No.
No one's going, oh, did I have my formally licensed gun, and well, I can't drive from here to here with the, they don't care.
No.
So the only thing you're doing is you're hurting good people.
Yep.
So I'm super 2A. I did my Appleseed training. I'm more comfortable with a rifle than a handgun, to be honest. But that's just practice. I don't go to the range as much as I should.
Yes.
I like to cook more than I like to shoot. But and garden, and there's a balance for all of that. I haven't been out probably in 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah. So for me, it's an important thing, and I can speak out of personal experience. I'm from South Africa originally, and they instituted gun control, common sense gun control regulation about 14 years ago that, so at first was just like, oh, we just want you to come register them. That's all you have to do. Then it was like, well, when you come and register them again next year, it's going to cost you some money. Oh, now you want to register another gun? Those ones are super expensive to register. Why don't we start a program and we'll just let all of you come and hand in your guns voluntarily? So everything that I know and understand and can see some states wanting to do here is things that have happened there. South Africa has a horrendous crime rate. It's not a safe country.
Well, look at England.
And
the same thing.
People defend themselves with paintball guns now and nylon balls, and that is not how it should be, right?
No.
And so, I just know that.
And it didn't stop. So it didn't stop the criminals.
No, it didn't stop the criminals, and now the actual people who need to defend themselves don't have guns, right? So and some people do, and you can still, but it's a lot harder, and it's like, let's just jump through these hoops. Let's make, because once you cede that control to say, oh, you get to define the rules of how this this relationship between me and my gun, you get to say how it's going to work.
Yes.
Which is why I was really excited when constitutional carry passed here, and everyone I know carries.
Yes.
And.
What I thought was funny was...
That's just how it is, and that's why New Hampshire is a safe state.
It is. We're one of the safest. Up in Detroit, the chief of police up there is from Maine. He got on his TV out there. It made national news, and he basically said, look, we're understaffed. They're basically bankrupt. We're not going to get more police. If you legally can carry, you better.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, that's a change. Crime has gone down because of it.
Oh, I bet. I mean,
How did they not see it?
Honestly, John, I don't understand how people don't see certain correlations. And it troubles me, I have friends on the left, I have friends on the right, I have friends in the middle. I'm a friendly person. I'll get along with anyone, and try to. And I love arguing and debating, so, that's good too. And there's just such a disconnect that I see right now. It's sort of like this hysteria, and I don't mean that word denigratingly, because I understand, I don't have children, but if I had kids in public school, I think the best solution is take them out.
Yes, yeah.
If that's a genuine concern for you, because I also don't think it's healthy that schools are moving in a direction to become jails. I mean, it's, you know, where you have the metal detectors and those poor kids with their plastic see-through bags. Now, having been a teenage girl, I understand you don't want anyone to be looking into your stuff at that age or ever, quite frankly, you know. And so, you know, there's just this disconnect where it's strange to me because it is irrefutable that states with high gun ownership, and especially ones where people actually still exercise their rights, meaning they carry, they go to the range, they know how to use it, they train other people, they talk about it, it's part of our culture, are safe. They're safe states, and that is undeniable. I mean, I remember when the constitutional carry, it was my favorite tweet of all time. Some lady from Massachusetts was super upset.
Really?
And she was like, I will not spend another tourist dollar in New Hampshire. I will take my money to Vermont and Maine. And I was like, you mean the two other states with constitutional carry? Like,
that was hilarious. You should have saved that one.
So, you know, I do find it troubling that some folks just, you know, and they sort of have the talking points. And to circle back to what we were saying earlier about sort of low tax states and stuff. That's also irrefutable, like, numbers. Like, I'm not making up the numbers. I read all media sources. Like, I don't just cherry pick, you know, I only read these news sources. I will look at everyone's numbers, and I will look at the footnotes to be like, okay, are you trying to BS me? You know, like, I like to know that when I say something, if it's a stat, that, like, I'm like, yes, this is right. I didn't just make this up, or I'm not, you know, saying someone else's propaganda or whatever, right? Like, I have to personally be convinced. And I'm like, based on that, low tax states are more prosperous.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, to go back to Vermont and even Maine, they, over the past several years, they've lost 5,000 people population.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
New Hampshire has surpassed Maine in population for the
really?
first time.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, and they're saying because of the new highway and, you know, in being New Hampshire, I think this was 10 years ago, they said within 20, so we got another 10 to go, 250,000 new people are going to move here. You know, that's huge.
250,000 to New Hampshire?
Yeah, we're at 1.35, and they're estimating we're going to be about 1.6 million by.
Who estimated this?
I'm trying to think what group it was.
Was it one of those business development people stuff?
They were just showing where the trends of people moving to and business friendly, and you know that if we stay on the course, they say this will happen to these states, and they even predicted, you know, where Vermont was going. They're saying, you know, Vermont eventually will start losing population.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, look at California. Californians moved to Colorado, you know, and now of course they're increasing the taxes in Colorado too. But yeah, there's this net in and out migration, and I think it was it Rhode Island, or I mean, it was one of our New England states. Was like, you know what we should do to solve our, you know, tax shortage? We should tax the millionaires more. Like, they should all pay a "you're rich" tax, right? You know what happens when you do that?
Yeah, they go to Florida. Like in New York.
Right, you know.
They all go to Florida.
And, you know, and philosophically, like, I want to wrap my head around that idea too, right? Where it's the American dream, which certainly I, you know, aspired to when I was a child. I mean, it's part of the reason I came to America, right? I was like, this country is cool because it's like free markets, and if you work hard, you can make it, and like all these aspirational dreams. And maybe in the past, I would say 10 years, it's been longer, but really that I've focused on it, you know, it's switched to this sort of victim mentality of boo-hoo-hoo, I can't, this is too hard. And then also the idea of envy. You know, like we should actually applaud our millionaires, because mostly when someone's making money, he's probably doing something good that people like, which is how he's getting rich, or she is getting rich, right? One of the richest billionaire women I'm going to blank on her name, but I was like, she was 28, and I read a little article, and I was like, how have I never heard of this woman?
Wow.
Ladies, you will understand. She makes Spanx. Spanx are like the slimming pantyhose that ladies wear. And it was like, yeah, I bet she's a billionaire. But my point being, let's turn this around. Let's get people excited about markets and competition. And that the competition means we're mutually benefiting, right?
Yes.
Or free markets means we're mutually benefiting, right? You want my pen, I'm willing to sell it to you. You have your pen, I have your $2. We're both happy.
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
not some kind of, oh, well, I really wanted $2.50 for the pen. Then I don't have to sell it to you, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we have to teach people again how to look at what the values are here. And I mean, I think out of all the states I've lived in, after California, I was in New York State, which, I went from bad to worse to best.
Yes.
But, people here still get it.
Yes, they do.
And so many small businesses. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to see. We still have our local economies and, people doing their thing.
Yes, yeah. Now the next thing, the other thing before we run out of time is I did want to talk about South Dakota and Wayfair.
Oh, goodness.
Because we did have a bill in front of the House. It came from the Senate. It did not pass. I understand that they will bring us back, and hopefully they will have a constitutional bill that's allowed, because that's why the bill died, is it wasn't constitutional.
So Wayfair is the one where they wanted to stop the internet, so it's a
Internet
Supreme Court
tax.
decision,
Yes. Yep.
internet tax,
Yep.
where the Supreme Court was like, oh, even New Hampshire, if you don't have a sales tax, we're going to make you collect it for all the other people. So now we are all like tax collectors
Yes.
for the not great states?
Yes, and it's, I was shocked when I sat down, I was reading the bill, and it said there is over 10,000 tax authorities in this country. So there's a lot of states that allow towns, the counties, and the municipalities to charge you extra
Wow.
taxes.
Did you hear, I heard this story that apparently in New York, if high tax value, I guess is one way to look at it, individuals are like at the airport during the day. So if they spend more than 8 hours, I believe,
Yes.
in New York, I think it was,
Yeah.
maybe it was DC, but I think it was New York, then you have to pay tax for being, like personal income tax
Yes.
for being there for that time.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I mean, that was part of the reason we left New York. I mean,
Yeah.
we had, super high state tax, city tax, state, local, county, city. I mean,
So
yeah.
they
there
were
was
one of them,
Oh yeah, I think we paid like 12% city tax on top of everything else. I mean, it was just like we.
So how would a New Hampshire business pay all that?
No, you can. And then also just asking your businesses or punishing the states that have, which in some ways I'm like, is that, I don't understand why the Supreme Court got it so wrong, because it's almost like the vote was flipped. Like a lot of
Yes.
the lefties kind of voted the right way.
That's what I
and
heard.
a lot of the
Yes.
constitutionalists, by the paper. I haven't read the decision yet, but I am going to go read it just to see. And I wonder if it was because the justices who are constitutionalists were kind of going pretty much, I think, what you guys did at the State House today, to just say, hey, this is like, our New Hampshire Constitution says
They
can't do this.
Yes. Well, and that's what, they kept saying on the House floor. And what was sad is they would get up in front of us and they said, all right, this isn't a good bill. Well, why are we passing it then? But we got to do something. No, we don't. For one, the decision just happened. There's nobody banging on any doors in New Hampshire. They said Pennsylvania's thinking about doing it. All right, they're thinking about coming to New Hampshire and charging, anybody that lives there, or we ship products from New Hampshire to there, they want us to collect the sales tax. That's how it is. But it isn't happening right now. So I'm just going, why are we rushing this?
I mean, I could understand. I think it was probably partly, sort of an opportunity for New Hampshire to be a leader on something.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but then do it right. Because,
yes. And we can get it right.
And we can. And the issue is just, if you're going to go, well, this bill isn't great, but now 4 other states who also don't have taxes. I think there are only 5 left, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Are going to go, oh, well, then let's crib from them. And then it's like, oh, suddenly we've created this web of just bad bills,
Well, their main mission is to give the New Hampshire AG's office authority to fight this in court. I guess currently they can't. So if somebody comes after a business in New Hampshire, the business has to protect themselves from Pennsylvania, saying that you must.
But I feel like, wouldn't the AG just be able to, like, if that happened to a business owner, couldn't the business owner just go to the AG and the AG can just literally mail them a copy of the New Hampshire Constitution with the part highlighted that says, you can't do this?
That's what I would think, but I guess they can't represent them in court. So what the bill was supposed to do is allow them to represent them in court. So what I said is, let's do a 1-page bill. The top of the bill will be the middle finger to the states that have sales taxes.
Yep.
Right here. And then on the bottom of the bill it says, we're going to go by our Constitution. You can't come here.
Right.
And then they kept talking about how Congress, D.C., the cesspool in D.C., they're the ones that are supposed to do this, interstate commerce.
Right.
It's not us.
Yeah. And
and it's not them. Pennsylvania, New York, Massachusetts, they can't come here and take our money.
No, but the thing is also, a lot of people just, they kind of want to do the right thing. So they're going to get some letter from some business who's tax attorney, and they're going to be like, oh, I guess I need to, I definitely could see a need to clarify this.
Exactly. We need to do something.
But the need is there to do it right.
Yes. And that's what I'm hoping. So now, from what I'm hearing, is that they're going to bring us back, and hopefully they'll have a better bill.
Another special session?
Yeah, from what I'm hearing.
Oh, really?
There may be one more special session.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
I'm hoping, if that happens, they're going to fix it this time.
See, and it's interesting because I have to say, Louis and I, my husband and I, we were talking about it. We sort of followed it in the news and stuff, and both of us were like, do we need to jump through these hoops, or does the New Hampshire Constitution protect us? And I think it's important for us Granite Staters to start to go back to that document, right? And to say, do we need, these, how many thousands of bills? Or can we just say, hey, it says right here.
Yes, Article 1, Section, 20 or 22.
Like, I hope it'll actually say, that our privacy is natural, essential, and an inherent right to be free.
Now, how would people get a hold of you? What's the best way? And, now what happens if somebody called you that's watching and say, I'd really like to have you come to my house. I can get 5, 6 friends, 10 friends.
I genuinely would love to do that. I mean, my district is very big, and it's half of Manchester and all of Goffstown, Bernardville, of course, too.
Now, all of Goffstown, Manchester 3 and 4, is that together then?
3, 4 are on the east side. So it kind of goes, so it's all of downtown, and then it goes all the way up to Mammoth.
Really?
And then all of the west side. So
that's huge.
Yeah, it's very big. I mean, even just getting all the poll standers is, for primary day. And of course, I don't have a primary. It's just a straight up race with me and Lou. But people can look at my website, which is Carla, Carla 4NHsenate.com. And then, I'm on Facebook and Twitter, and you can call me. My number's on my Facebook and on my website. I'm not going to give it out here because I'm shy. And I would love, honestly, I'm happy to come out, and, if people are in senior homes, or, you can put together a group. I'm trying to libraries, all of that stuff. I want to come talk to people. If you like what you see, I would love you to take a sign.
Yes.
I will leave a pile with John again. We finally got rid of the last one.
Oh, did you?
No, at your house.
Oh, yes.
When you were like, hey, I need to move my snowplow.
Yes. I went down 114 from the red light by the nursing home, down to the Irvin station in Bedford.
Yeah.
And I picked up, I think it was almost 1,170 signs.
Wow.
Yeah. And I saved all the local ones, and then
Yeah.
I called the headquarters of the big ones
Wow.
and said, do you want them? And they all said, throw them out. And
Oh,
so I
wow.
recycled them
Okay.
that I could, and all the metal went to recycling.
Yep.
But, all the local, even I picked up my Democrat
Well, if you
friends.
want,
You know,
I mean, I'd be happy to do something like that with you and bring some volunteers next time if you need a hand. You don't
Oh, yeah.
have to suffer on your own, John.
Well, I stayed in the trailer. I got a little flatbed trailer, and Rick Christie drove the truck, so I would run, and because I lost a lot of weight, so I'd be like, I can do this.
Yeah, it does feel good, right?
It does. Yeah. But yeah, no, I might, especially putting in signs, I'll have you come around.
Okay.
So they can get a hold of you, and you can put a sign on their private lawn, and
Yep.
that's the best thing.
Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having
It's
me.
a pleasure, and I'm going to have you on again. And we are hooking up Skype. I'm going to push.
Oh, we're gonna get so fancy.
Yes, we are. And
We're
so
gonna have
when
dancing girls. In
Oh
the
yeah, I
background.
can't wait for when you're out. With a sine wave or something, I'll have you Skype in. Yeah, we're going to be big time. We're going to put Fox out of.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, put them right out of business. Well, thank you for
Thanks,
coming on.
John.
Yeah. And I'll see you next week, and make sure you get a hold of Carla and and invite her over, and or me. I'm running too. So until next week, I'll see you then. Bye now.